Hi, my name is Jean Ares Gamayan, and my topic is all about rights and obligations between husband and wife. The rights and obligations between husband and wife are the consequences of marriage. Article 68 of the Family Code provides that the husband and wife are obliged to live together, observe mutual love, respect, and fidelity, and render mutual help and support. Let's first discuss the personal obligations of husband and wife. Number 1 is the duty to live together. Number 2 is the duty to observe mutual love, respect, and fidelity. And number 3 is the duty to render mutual help and support. As illustrated in the case of Chiming Choi versus Court of Appeals, it states that procreation is an essential marital obligation wherein procreation of children through sexual cooperation is a basic end of marriage. Except for support, a court cannot validly issue a decision compelling spouses to live together, observe mutual love, respect, and fidelity. It is only the moral obligation that constitutes the motivating factor for the spouses to observe the duties and obligations which are highly personal. There can be no action for damages merely because of breach of marital obligation. That is enunciated in the case of T versus Court of Appeals. Marital rape. Under the Philippine law, a husband can be held liable for raping his wife. However, in case it is the legal husband who is the offender, subsequent forgiveness by the wife as the offended party extinguishes criminal action or the penalty, provided that the crime shall not be extinguished or the penalty shall not be abated if the marriage is void ab initio. That's according to Article 226-C of the Revised Penal Code as amended by Republic Act 8353. Rape is also an act of violence against women, including the wife. That's under Section 3 of Republic Act 9262, or also known as the Vowsy Law. Prior to amendment of the Revised Penal Code, there was an agreement whether or not a husband could rape his wife. A such case was considered the matrimonial exemption to the crime of rape through force. Reasons for such are as follows. Number 1, upon marriage, a man and woman no longer retained separate legal existence. So in convicting the husband, in effect, he was raping himself. Number 2, in entering the marriage contract, wife consents to sexual intercourse with her husband, and the law doesn't allow her to retract such consent. So a husband is legally incapable of raping his wife, since the existence of marital relationship bears as an evidentiary matter upon the element in the rape statute of lack of consent. A wife is irrefutably presumed to consent to sexual relations with her husband, even if forcible and without consent. Presently, this matrimonial exemption is no longer universal and absolute rule, as jurisprudence abroad shows growing shift to decide situations of marital rape through force on a case-to-case basis, thereby eroding the acceptability of the previously mentioned justifications for matrimonial exemptions. The amendment by Republic Act 8353 makes it clear that the husband can be criminally liable for raping his own wife. Article 69 of the Family Code provides that the husband and wife shall fix the family domicile. In case of disagreement, the court shall decide. The court may exempt one spouse from living with the other if the latter should live abroad or there are valid, compelling reasons for the exemption. However, such exemption shall not apply if the same is not compatible with the solidarity of the family. Domicile. In exercising civil rights and the fulfillment of civil obligations, the domicile of natural persons is the place of their habitual residence. That's under Article 50 of the Civil Code. Spouses then can only have one domicile but many residences. It is where they intend to have their permanent residence with the intention of always returning, even if they have left it for some time. Minor follows his parents' domicile, and the spouses must fix the family domicile by agreement. A marked departure from repealed Article 100 of Civil Code, where the husband, being the legal administrator of property, has the sole power to decide. The Family Code recognizes the revolutionary changes in women's rights in the intervening years by making the choice of domicile a product of mutual agreement between spouses. In case of disagreement, the courts will decide through summary proceedings in accordance with Article 253 of the Family Code. A spouse may validly live away or separately from the other only if the latter should live abroad or for other valid and compelling reasons for such exemption. In finding the existence of any said grounds, the court may validly issue an order exempting one spouse to live with the other. But such exemption shall not apply if the same is not compatible with the solidarity of the family. Judicial proceeding shall be summary in nature in accordance with Article 253 of the Family Code. Article 70 of the Family Code provides that the spouses are jointly responsible for the support. The expenses for such support and other conjugal obligations shall be paid from the community property, and in the absence thereof, from the income or fruits of their separate property. In case of insufficiency or absence of said income or fruits, such obligations shall be satisfied from their separate property. As for the sources of expenses for support and other conjugal obligations, we have number one is the community property, second is the income or fruits of their separate properties, and last is their separate properties. Let's proceed to Article 71 of the Family Code. The management of the household shall be the right and duty of both spouses. The expenses for such management shall be paid in accordance with the provisions of Article 7. It simply means that both spouses share in the management. Article 72 of the Family Code provides that when one of the spouses neglects his or her duties to the conjugal union or commits acts which tend to bring danger, dishonor, or injury to the other or to the family, the aggrieved party may apply to the court for relief. This is a situation whereby the aggrieved party may ask the court for relief. Article 73 of the Family Code provides that either spouse may exercise any legitimate profession, occupation, business, or activity without the consent of the other. The latter may object only on valid, serious, and moral grounds. In case of disagreement, the court shall decide whether or not the objection is proper and that the benefit has accrued to the family prior to the objection or thereafter. If the benefit accrued prior to the objection, the resulting obligation shall be enforced against the separate property of the spouse who has not obtained consent. The foregoing provisions shall not prejudice the rights of creditors who acted in good faith. Either spouse may exercise any legitimate profession, occupation, business, or activity. However, any one of them may object provided the opposition is founded on valid, serious, and moral grounds. Spouses can engage in any lawful enterprise or profession. Though natural to consult each other regarding the matter, the law does not require them to get prior consent of the other before entering into legitimate profession, occupation, business, or activity. spouse of a legitimate profession, occupation, business, or activity is always considered to redound to the family's benefit. But an isolated transaction of a spouse, such as being a guarantor for a third person's death, is not per se considered as redounding to the benefit of the family, and therefore to hold the absolute community or the conjugal partnership property liable for any loss resulting from such isolate activity, proofs showing a direct benefit to the family must be presented. As to property that is liable, if the husband consented to the engaging in business, then all the properties will be liable. If there was no express or implied consent, then only the community and the separate properties of the wife will be liable, not the separate property of the husband. The community property can be liable, for after all, the earnings of the wife pertain to the community property. So that's the end of my topic for the rights and obligations between husband and wife. Thank you so much, and